What up, Superchain fam, and welcome to another edition of Superchain Demo Day. This week we have three great projects up to present. So as always, this is a very interactive demo day, and so each presenter will get about 10 minutes to present, and then you can drop your questions in the Unlonely chat, on Twitter, or on our YouTube, where we're live streaming from. And at the end of each presentation, we'll be able to get to some of those community questions. All right, so without further ado, I will hand it over to Fringe Finance and Brian.
Jesse, thank you very much. Okay, I'll quickly go through a couple of things here and maybe open up for a couple of questions. Fringe Finance, we're a margin trading and lending platform, but we've got a twist. Let's talk about that. So we operate on Optimism and other chains, but one of our key differentiators is a large list of assets. All up, we'll have about 150 assets in total, including ERC20 tokens, and something quite different to many of the other platforms out there is we'll support LP tokens and ERC46 yield-bearing instruments. And this is quite important because at the end of the day, when we do anything in DeFi, it's always with a goal. At the moment, and I'll talk more about that in a second, at the moment, we're listing 14 assets on Optimism, which include a whole host of the usual suspects and a few of the more exotic instruments there and longer tail assets. And we're looking soon to bump that up to dozens of interesting assets. Now, we have some other really cool technology here that allows us to do this, which is price stability mechanisms that allows us to list these assets and also protects against price manipulation attacks. This is quite crucial because hundreds of millions of dollars a year are lost in price manipulation attacks. So I mentioned having a goal in mind is really important. And so the way I'll just shape this talk will be talking about use cases, which is the reason of why people might want to do activity or participate on these margin trading and lending platforms. And these are the key to unlocking sophisticated financial participation. And because we have a wide range of assets, that means we support a whole range of unique use cases, unlike other margin trading and lending platforms. And because of these use cases, your participation in the DeFi ecosystem can be undertaken in a controlled and nuanced manner, in a more capital efficient manner. And I won't go through all of this, but this is to give examples of use cases around, for example, and I'll just pick one side here, the LP tokens on the left-hand side. You can amplify your exposure to your LP tokens. You can seek extra yield. And down the bottom of that list is hedge exposure to the volatile asset that underlies the LP token. We'll talk a little bit more about that particular one in a minute. And also hedge impermanent loss. So these use cases we think are quite game-changing in the market, and we'll talk a little bit about why Fringe offers that and is a good venue for considering participating in that respect. So I'm going to talk today and demo our product on Optimism using an exotic use case, which in this case is hedging exposure to the volatile asset in the LP token pair for those LP or liquidity providers on DEXs. For example, if you provide liquidity onto those DEXs, by the time you take them out, if that more volatile asset has fallen in value, well, even though you've collected fees, trading fees on providing liquidity there, then you're still exposed to that downside. So this is a solution to that. And this diagram here on the left-hand side of the diagram has the initial exposure is to the LP token, which is all the components of that, which is the trading fees, the impermanent loss, and both underlying assets. And using a mechanism I'll describe in a minute, you can hedge your exposure. So on the right-hand side, the resulting exposure is you can remove your exposure to the more volatile underlying asset. Let's have a look at a demo here. And Jesse, I'm going to now remove this presentation and present a screen. So I'll just pull that up right now and we'll dive straight in and have a look. And the way we're going to do this the way we're going to do this is what I'm going to do is um, uh, a couple of things. First of all, what I'm going to do is with my assets, I'm going to decide how much I'm going to allocate to first of all my LP position, and then I'm going to short the more volatile asset. And in our example here, I'm going to take an LP position on Uniswap V3, and it's going to be the OP to Ethereum pool. So in this case here, what I want to do is consider that OP might be the more volatile asset according to whatever analysis leads me to uh, that opinion. And now I can express that opinion using these DeFi facilities. So what I'll do, I'll deposit some collateral onto this platform. I'll borrow the OP token so that I'm now shorting that, and I'll use that to purchase my LP tokens. So I'll end up with that use case that we talked about just moments ago, which is hedging the more volatile underlying asset. So this is Fringe at app.fringe.fi. And here I've got it operating on the Optimism chain. And as I mentioned, we've got quite a number of assets which we support on Optimism. And in this case here, I've got some USDCE, and I'm going to deposit some of that as collateral. I might deposit, say, 700 as collateral on this platform, and we'll just wait for these. This is a live demo, so we'll see the slight delay as this confirms on the blockchain, but we all know Optimism is super cool because it's super fast. Anyway, so that's committing right now. And
Yeah, I love the live demos. Everybody who always does live demo is very brave for sure. And also the live demos gives
yep,
everybody a chance to kind of solve the problems that you're trying to solve if anything goes wrong. All right, back to you.
yes, okay, sorry about that, I pressed the wrong button there. But anyway, so I've got some collateral deposited on the platform, and what I'm going to do now is borrow some OP. These are all the assets that I can borrow, and I'll borrow, say, 101 of these guys, and that's about 250 USD. And again, we're just confirming this via my wallet, confirming it on the blockchain. So background music there, please, Jesse. This will only take a couple of seconds.
How
And
how do you do the math for what you want to borrow? I'm assuming you're not using the full $700 you're going to
no,
do.
I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay, so the math, we outline this in our user guides. And for this particular use case, I'm just about to publish, or we're just about to publish the user guides for this one. Um, and they're all in there, and it factors in both the loan to value ratio of the assets that you're using in this particular trade, and also your desired safety factor. And people have their own personal safety preferences to avoid liquidations. So all of that comes into play. And we talk about that. Other cool things about our platform is we have partial liquidation models. So you're not penalized overly if liquidations do occur. Just the minimal amount of liquidation occurs. And so you only pay a very small fee on the small part of your position that might be liquidated, and you still retain your existing position. So it's good. Now, what we see here is we've borrowed OP, and we've borrowed 101 of these guys. And what we can see now is in our wallet, we have 101 of those guys. And I can go off to Uniswap now. Let's just have a quick look and to see. I'm going to flip to Uniswap. Hopefully, now I think Uniswap comes up there on the page. Yes, okay. So all I'm doing now is just using Uniswap v3, and I'm going to take a new position. And let me just get that up. take a new position, and then that completes this use case. And so one thing that I'm really attempting to convey here is these complex financial strategies can be executed in quite straightforward manners using these tools that we've got available to us. So here we've got the pair ETH and Optimism. And what I'm going to do is specify just a range, because this is Uni V3 pool. And I'm going to say there's 100 of these, 100 of these OPs that I'm going to take a position on. And I can now take this position. So what we have at the end of this is, if we're participating as liquidity providers in the DEX space, I have just hedged my exposure to that more volatile asset. So this is something I just wanted to convey to achieve these more nuanced and controlled participation within the DeFi ecosystem. You can just use these fairly straightforward actions within these DeFi platforms and do fairly simple things here and position yourself so that you're expressing your opinions more in a more granular level. And just before we go, from a DeFi facility perspective, Fringe Finance not only has these borrowing facilities, but we have our leverage trading facilities. And here we can amplify exposure to any of the assets that we list on the platform, which will include our LP tokens, or LP tokens in general, I should say, ones that we list, and ERC 4626 tokens, and our margin trade facility. Here I have an open position of ETH, and so I've amplified my ETH, and it's been nice to me over the last few weeks. There's been some profit on that. And then our margin trade facility allows you to choose specifically what assets you would like to go long and short on. So that's very quickly the 10 minutes I think that I have, Jesse, to give an overview of what the product can do and what a good way to just to achieve one particular nuanced use case for people who have particular needs in the DeFi ecosystem. There you go. I'll stop sharing this now.
Beautiful demo. So I have a question. So we are going and borrowing OP at a certain rate, right? And then we are taking that OP and supplying it into an ETH OP liquidity pool. And so then assuming that we're zero hedged, I guess the term is, for that OP volatility, then what you would be making, or for you to kind of be positive on this trade, the fees that you generate would have to be higher than what you're paying to borrow the OP.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the considerations. And the other consideration is that you will offset that against the perceived or the expected loss in value that you would experience from the fall in price or value of that more volatile asset. So you can take these positions and protect yourself against some of the vicissitudes of life, which is the unreliability of some of those assets out there. So this gives you greater control. It allows you to really isolate where you would like to provide your or to achieve your exposure. And a use case that I touched on earlier is removing exposure to impermanent loss. And we would take a very similar approach to what we took then, but we would short both of the underlying assets. And therefore, any movement in the underlying assets would be offset by the short position that we'd be opening up on Fringe Finance. Now, why is Fringe good? Because we offer a wider range of assets, which means more liquidity pools are therefore able to be hedged in this manner. Some lending platforms only have a small number of assets because our current spread and our future spread will be quite wide. This is the market that we're looking to satisfy and to service. So we think we have quite a differentiated product here, especially with the engineering underlying our product, which is that price stability mechanism for some of those longer tail assets. So please have a look at our website, fringe.fi, and we'll be releasing more user guides for these nuanced use cases.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you for coming on and presenting. Can you drop some links if anybody wants to reach out, or some links that they can go to check out your site, and also any future plans that you want to share?
Yes. Okay. Where do I drop those links, Jesse? On the
You can drop it
right-hand
in the
side?
private. You can drop it in
In
the
the
private
private
chat,
chat.
and then and
Okay.
then we'll share out.
Okay, so I'll just put fringe.fi there. We've got docs link there. We've got a social channel link there, primarily on Telegram. We've got YouTube. We've got a whole bunch of stuff, and our docs has a growing list of these use cases that we're finally getting through because it takes some time just to produce all of this really good material.
Understandable.
We also have a lender incentive program underway at the moment. So lenders are incentivized through additional Fringe rewards, our governance token. So have a look at all of that. That's on our website.
Awesome. Love rewards. Beautiful. Thank you, Brian, so much. Excellent presentation, excellent demo. All right, let's move on to identity fusion.
Thank you.
And let me get the right person up. There we go. Beautiful. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Jesse. It's going well.
Yeah, great. Nice to be here.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, I'll let you guys get into it.
All right. I'll be talking, and for the moment at least, thank you so much, Jesse. And hi, everybody. I'm Josie. I'm a postdoctoral social scientist in the Web3 space, also leading the social science lab at Beethoven X. And I'm joined today by my wonderful collaborator, Aerodreth. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. I'm working with Josie on this as an independent researcher, and my background's really in like social bonding mechanisms and kind of how people make friends, mostly in offline spaces. But I've been sort of moving into studying online communities and how people bond with each other there.
Thank you, Aerodreth. Today we'll be talking about one of our studies, identity fusion, and it's our first time speaking here at the Optimism Demo Day, and this is kind of exciting. Actually, it's really exciting and really good timing, I think, because just a few days ago, Vitalik put out a blog post highlighting the importance of culture and social layers of identity, and how these concepts are critical for so many areas in blockchain, but particularly also important, especially important for attracting the right users and lots of the right users, and to be able to make progress as a protocol or ecosystem. And he was talking about how he sees layer 2s as cultural extensions of layer 1. So optimism is basically the way he framed it as a cultural extension of Ethereum, with its own unique, very specific twist, while still being part of the greater Ethereum ecosystem. And these questions seem really important for Ethereum. And this idea of like having these layers of identity kind of meshed together, building a coherent whole, has been studied in other spaces, especially offline. And these concepts do really seem important for how people build trust and establish social bonds. And it hasn't been studied yet online, especially not in blockchain spaces. So perhaps it might just be a nice idea from a business perspective, but scientifically in blockchain, we're not quite there yet. But that's why we're here. And we're going to test Vitalik's idea, and we want to find out what really works for blockchain and especially how it works. And we're doing that through the lens of identity fusion, which is a well-established and empirically tested psychological concept through which we explore the mechanisms of what makes people join optimism in the first place. And perhaps even more importantly, what keeps people coming back to optimism. And by the way, our study was funded by Optimism Academics. All right, let's dive in. As a group of social scientists, I might not be much of a surprise that we really like to talk about apes. We're fascinated by apes. We study mainly human primates. In the blockchain space, we sometimes also study non-human primates. And we think that's really interesting and important because when talking about blockchain, social aspects are often neglected. For example, we like to think about blockchain as trustless, not really requiring social trust for blockchain to work properly, or even for users to form expectations. But in fact, these social factors might be just as significant as the technical attributes for a project's success. Because we humans are highly social animals, right? If you compare ourselves to other primates, which might also be quite social, we are really like very much social. We live in exceptionally large social groups and we cooperate to a large extent, to a really great extent. And in fact, that's, why we're still here. That's the success of our species has really come down to that level of cooperation. And it's only through cooperation that we're, for example, able to successfully build large structures like blockchains or collaborate and thrive as a community and evolve culturally. And we think that level of cooperation might be particularly crucial for layer twos, as they have to be effective in so many ways. And layer twos, like optimism, they're inherently also much more pluralistic. They allow for broad participation, broad user participation, diverse values, and subsets of cultural identities. And I think the guys that you just saw on the slide, on the previous slide, pretty much reflected very well how people might express their identity and what culture could look like. To summarize, in blockchain, identity does seem to play an important role for community building and how we build trust and what projects we're attracted to. And perhaps it's even important to make a group strong, to make an ecosystem strong. So we want to, but we don't really know, which is assuming here. And just to emphasize one more time that in other spaces, mainly offline spaces, psychological studies on community and social group behavior have extensively shown that layers of identity play a huge role in community building. If you, for example, think of your favorite sports team or fan clubs, or even examples where people might have really strong belief structures like religion, these are all common examples where social identity is like kind of expressing the degree of how strongly people identify with others in the group and the group itself has been found to have a great impact on group cohesion. But the question remains, is the same also achievable in blockchain? Does it also work in an online space, in such a large online space like blockchain? Because we think in this space, things might be a little bit more complicated. First of all, developing trust and social bonds in such a large group online in a dynamically growing ecosystem through online means of communication might be quite tricky, particularly in a pseudonymous space, and also successful cooperation in such large groups with pretty diverse people. Perhaps the number of relationships that we can effectively handle and maintain is limited. You might have heard of Dunbar's numbers and know that the maximum number of people that we can have a meaningful relationship with is around 150 people. And typically, the larger the groups, the weaker the social ties might get. Yeah, so these social factors maybe, in fact, might be exactly what makes the difference. So we think we should study that in blockchain. And yeah, identity and social ties might be critical for a sense of affiliation and how individuals see themselves and the others in the group. So moving on to the next slide, the goal of our study is to explore how that all works in blockchain, especially how it all works for optimism, and understand people's layers of identity and social ties. And this is, for example, what layers of identity might look like for optimism. Some people might be highly fused or identify a lot with the project, or the ecosystem. Others might be less fused. And identity fusion basically describes to the extent to which people identify with the network, which typically leads to group commitment and attachment to the network. So while fusion might be very important, we're particularly interested in the underlying mechanisms here that shape people's layers of identity and people's identity fusion with optimism. So we want to understand analytically how identity fusion may or may not be possible in blockchain. And yeah, perhaps we should also mention that this study is of exploratory nature. It includes like several stages of data collection and preliminary insights for optimism and other protocols that we conducted interviews for, including Velodrome, Beethoven X, and Oath, show really mixed results. So first insights of the qualitative study show that not everybody is very fused and not everybody might feel very much part of the community. And we want to know why. We want to find out why. And what we can say so far is that there seems to be a really complex set of mechanisms at play here. For example, first insights indicate that perceived agency and how important people think they are for the group might play a critical role in shaping people's fusion, but then also perceived personality of the group and whether people think they have a shared mindset with others. Also, language plays an important role and how people talk to each other, and whether there's a good balance between tech and serious building versus the social layer, the social media, how much chit chat there might be going on a platform, and whether there's a shared sense of humor. And interestingly, I think for several mechanisms, there seems to be a balance to strike in terms of whether something might be too much or too little. It's almost like a Goldilocks zone where that things need to be exactly right. But these are really just preliminary insights, and that's why we'd love your support. The study is still ongoing, and we still need more participants for the quantitative part. So please help us to find out whether Vitalik is right. We want to test his ideas, so please do take a moment to participate in the survey. We think the study is really important for the space, and yeah, that's why we highly encourage you to take part in the survey for optimism and help us uncover what really works in blockchain. Thank you so much. Eric, is there anything else you'd like to mention?
I think that just about covers it. Just gonna there's a bit more about us, and I'll stick the link to the survey in the chat as well if anyone wants to follow that up. Please do take part. I think it's a much neglected part. We always talk about the tech, but forget that there are people behind the tech who are using it. And I think understanding that user experience and how people perceive themselves in this space as well as the group as a whole is just really important and where we need to be moving if we actually want real adoption.
Very well said. I actually relate to this so much, everything that you guys have said, because I actually came into the optimism ecosystem a couple of years ago through an NFT project called the OptiPunks. And so although I had a lot of TVL and was doing a lot of things on other chains, what really kept me in the optimism ecosystem was this community of other like-minded people, and they were very focused on optimism values as well, like funding retroactive public goods, right, or retroactive public goods funding. And so that really drew me in. And then I started doing a podcast and educational content, and then eventually worked for Optimism. And now I've come full circle back to the DAO. But if you guys go like 2 slides back or 3 about the chit chat, like what is the community doing? Is it like chit chat, or is it a serious? Oh yeah, right there. Chit chat versus serious building. Like I think it kind of starts with a lot of chit chat, especially like in the NFT community. But eventually I think it moves into serious building if you're really values aligned with optimism. So it's like I just went from owning an NFT and chatting in Discord with other people who own NFTs to being involved in governance as a delegate, and other parts of the ecosystem as well. So I think if you can hook in people's values, it really keeps people around.
I'm hearing like NFTs are a gateway drug into the community somehow. Which is, yeah, there's exactly stories like that we're interested in hearing, like how people get into the space. And I do think optimism is exactly the right place to be doing this kind of research, because it seems to be a community that's really open to thinking about, I mean, all the innovations in governance and in retroactive public goods funding. It's a kind of fertile ground for really thinking deeply about these issues.
Agreed. I love it. If you guys want to show your QR code again to take the survey, and then we can also drop this link in the chats where we're kind of live streaming from. And guys, thank you so much for coming up and sharing during demo day. Excellent presentation.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Let's go on to our next presenters. We have Cora Club. How's it going, guys?
It's going great, Jesse. How are you?
I am wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining Demo Day.
Yeah.
If you guys want to share your screen, I can hand it off to you and put that up.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Thanks, Jesse. Just let me know if it's
perfect.
Okay. So hi guys, I'm Jane and I'm joined with Yash. We are presenting Cora Club, which is a bit different than what we saw the first presentation and second presentation. We are trying to simplify decentralized governance through direct communication, where obviously the second presentation comes in picture. We have humans behind. So we are trying to connect humans via our platform. Overview of DAO, I'm sure the audience here in Superchain ecosystem knows well. The DAO treasuries are ever growing. We have 34 billion in DAO treasuries, Optimism leading it. And while this grows, we see challenges pertaining to complexities in DAO governance structure, the issues with direct communications, which you want to have with your DAO delegates, though Twitter, Discord, and even Farcaster helps you, but there's no one place to go for. So this information overload, and on top of that, if you know everything else in governance, spending time, and you want to be a delegate, where do you find your new delegators? Where do you show your contribution? Where do you ask them to connect? That's where probably we kick in. We figured out few problem statements, and these problem statements also stems from some of the community calls. So just an excerpt from a community call where OP Michael hosts.
It can be confusing to jump into governance, or optimism governance. There's a lot going on, but just everyone's always willing to answer questions.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in optimism governance, but everyone is willing to answer. Where do we find them? There are people who are curious enough to come to community calls and get their answers, even basic questions.
Turn your mic on.
An excerpt says that a question like, who is a delegate? Now, this question cannot be answered perfectly in this call where there are other 30 to 40 candidates who already know about governance. So for them, they need a dedicated space. And that is...
It can be confusing to jump into governance.
We kick in with Cora Club. So rather than me ranting more about what it is, I'll move forward. there are two main things which we are using: Huddle 01, which allows decentralized WebRTC, and Ethereum attestations, which allows delegates to prove their work which they are doing to disseminate information of the DAO, especially when we have new seasons coming up, every season coming up with a new mission request or a new type of experiment which we know is core to optimism values. So in order to tackle this, let's jump into demo. I have my colleague here, Yash. You can present the demo.
Yes, sure. Okay, let me know once it's visible.
All right, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good to go.
All right. So this is our homepage. So we have made it live today only. So if you get time, so just go through it today. We have tried to present it before the demo day only. So it's describing about us mostly, like what we are doing, how Kura Club is working, as our tagline is discover, learn, and engage. So before this, let's directly jump to the our main app. So main app screen is visible, right?
We still see the launch app.
All right.
There we go.
Cool. All right. Thank you for confirming. So this is a page where all the different DAOs we will be showing it. As of now, we have two DAOs, that is Optimism and Arbitrum. So once you click on Optimism, so here we will be showing the information of the list of the delegates. So as we find it, like here are the list of the delegates. We have options like delegate sessions and office hours. So all the one-on-one sessions, one-to-one sessions which are taken on optimism, that will by the delegates. So let's make it more clear. So delegates, we will be calling it them as a host, and the people who wants to know, or the user who are joining this session, we will be calling them as a guest. So the host who will be taking the session, and the attendee or the guest who are coming to join the session, so all those sessions will be recorded, and that will be shown over here for particularly optimism. Same goes with the office hours. As we know, currently the lots of office hours which are taken on, and we don't have the exact location of those office hours. So all the office hours which are taken on Quora Club, that will remain over here, and we have provided few options like ongoing, upcoming, and recorded. So we'll be showing it all the list of the office hours accordingly. So currently, the office hours component is under development, and we will be making it live soon. So we are more focused on like sessions, and we have made it live. So as you can see here, this sessions page, where you can see all the DAOs recorded session will be shown over here. So currently we have two DAOs, that is Optimism and Arbitrum. So those will be shown over here. So these are the recorded sessions, and when we click on any of the recorded session, so we will be able to see the screen. So the host and guest, whatever they have talked about, so if anyone is new and they want to learn about this topic, then they can directly search from the sessions page, and they can jump into this video. So we will be doing this live soon. Currently we are under development of collecting, like minting this session. So if any user liked it and they want to mint this session, then they can collect the NFT. So soon we will be making it live, as this is the leaderboard which will be shown to the like how many guests or how many users have minted this NFTs. And mostly we will be incentivizing this to the delegate who are taking the session. So as Zora or uh, Pod, how they are providing the incentives to the users. Also, we will be incentivizing to the first collector and the person or the user who is sharing this session, we will be incentivizing to them also. So here we can find like off-chain attestation and on-chain attestations. This is the description and title. So currently, user will have to manually type it, but soon I think we are under development, and soon we will be making like all of things will be done by the AI model only. So soon it will be live soon. Yeah. Apart from that, let's move to the user profile.
Actually, I have a question. If you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back to the kind of optimism one, and there's office hours slash recorded sessions. So the idea here is to get optimism delegates to come on and kind of host a live Q&A session or something like that,
Ye-
and then okay, have it recorded. And then same idea for kind of the office hours as well.
yes,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
Okay, perfect. And then, so we have a community calls like every other week or so. Are you planning at some point to add those like those official kind of community calls or community governance calls as well to Vue? So it's kind of an all in one place.
Yeah, so we are terming it as office hours, even the community calls, office hours by Optimism. And then attestation to all attendees will be automatically given on EAS at the end of call, when they joined and when they ended their call. So there will be a proof attached. You can look back that, okay, Jesse has conducted these many sessions over last 1 year as a host.
Good explanation. Sorry, go ahead. You can go to the profiles.
All right. So now when we go to user profile, so here we show few components. This is the profile of the delegate, how it will be looked like. So without this is how delegate will know how many. So basically we will be providing the off-chain attestations to everyone, but if they want the attestation to be claimed on chain, then they can claim it by clicking on the claim button. So I will show you that also. Here they will be getting the past votes like voted proposals and all their informations. And this is the main part where they will be scheduling one-to-one sessions. So delegates will be scheduling their availability time. Like for example, if we say they want to take one session of 30 minutes, and on 6th they want to take it for today, and they can select the start time and end time, like they are free between 4 to 6 or 4 to 5, just 1 hour. They can add session and they can create one. So let me show you with an example. So this is how they will be creating this session. If they want to get the notification, they can add their Gmail or any addresses. They will get the notifications on that. And yeah, the session has been created to connect with you. Now you can copy this URL or share it on Twitter wherever you want. So now if there is a user who is searching, like he wants to learn from any of the delegate about any new program or new thing which is going in the governance, like as Chainel has already created one. So let's say he will be coming it, he will be clicking on book session, and that user will be clicking like okay, he is available from, yeah, and scheduling. So here he will be adding what all things he want to know about, like which part, and he will be adding some description, and then he will be clicking on save button. So the call will be booked, and that person will get the chain will get the notification, like yeah, someone has booked your call, and automatically they will get the join button. So they will be, by clicking on that join button, they will be able to join the meeting. Also, I can schedule the office hours also, community call also, whatever I want from here. So currently we are under development. We will be making it live soon. And one more feature which we are providing is like a starting an instant meet. So if any user or any host wants to directly do and meet with any of the user, then they can just fill on this information. Let's say demo day and presenting Quora Club. When I click on save, instant meet will be created. And yeah, when I click on start meeting, so the meeting will be recorded from here. So we will get a pop-up like recording started. And currently we are making another flow like if someone is coming and they don't want to record this session, then also we will be giving them that ability. And also if they want to, if they have recorded that session but they don't want to make it public, then also we will be providing those functionalities. Now we have started the instant meet. If we want someone to be joined in, then we can copy this link and we can share it with someone, then they will be joining it. So here we give basic functionalities like sharing the screen, starting the video, reactions and all. So the main feature which we provide over here is quick links. For example, now I want to, when I am explaining or when I'm talking about the forum, then I will be not searching directly about like forums URL and all. I can quickly access those all links about Optimism DAO's Twitter profile, Optimism's Twitter profile, Blog Explorer, website, and when I click on it, I will be directly redirected to those pages. So for example, if I click on forum, then I will be redirected to the forums page. So this is how it works. And once the session is completed, we can just click on end the call like as we do it. So this meeting and all we are handling is provided, we are providing this by using Hurdle 01. And yeah, soon we will be receiving the attestations. Once the session is over, we can share our achievement on Twitter, like what new things we learned it, or share the feedback, and we can close this. Then we will be redirected to a tile which will be showing like all the hosted sessions. So as I said, if I want the attestations to be claimed on chain, then I will be clicking this button and the MetaMask will pop up. So here so by default we are giving everyone the off-chain attestations. So here sessions hosted will be 2. It will be live soon. Yeah, as you can see here. So yeah, this is all about, and soon we will be introducing AI also for generating the title and description. And this was all demo from my side. If you have any feedback on questions, then feel free to ask.
Awesome. So this sounds like you need some delegates to bootstrap and get some sessions going. And so the delegates, right, like the reason why they would do this, they would be incentivized because the community can kind of mint an NFT of the session, and then the delegates get rewarded from the number of mints. So it's like they're getting rewarded for sharing information or helpful information to people who want to get involved in optimism governance or whatever governance it may be. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Especially when we have like 500 applications coming for season 5, there are many participants who wants to know more, and there is a general call of 30 minutes, and that is not enough for them to handhold. So
Yeah,
we are looking. Yeah.
that makes sense. You should reach out to our governed contributor path, who most of them are delegates as well, but they're kind of tasked with onboarding new delegates into the ecosystem. And so they do, I know, a lot of informational talks kind of ad hoc, and so they might be interested in something like this. Okay, so do you want to share a link where delegates or users can reach out to you guys if they want to get more information or get involved?
Yeah, QR code can help you join Discord, and the homepage Quora.club has all the socials where we are. So we'll be happy to connect, get feedback, and get more delegates.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Another excellent demo. All right, everybody, thank you for joining Superchain Demo Day. We do this every 2 weeks at the same time, so be sure to join us next week. All right, guys, see you on the interwebs.
Bye.